بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلوات الله وسلامه على نبينا الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. After this, Ikhwani, we're almost finished with the book. We should be finished with the 74th and last point today, or this week, bi-idhnillah. We come to point number 69. And Imam Ahmed, may Allah's rahmah be upon him, he talked about an-nifaq. He said, hypocrisy, it is kufr, it's disbelief. And it is that a person disbelieves in Allah and he worships other than Allah inwardly, but he manifests Islam openly, like the hypocrites during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Number 70, and his sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying, ثلاثة من كن فيه, three things, whoever these three characteristics are with him, then he is a munafiq. And Imam Ahmed said this is an intensification. We report it as it has come, and we do not explain it. He said, and likewise, the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to his companions, لا ترجعوا بعد كفارا يضرب بعضكم عناق or رقاب بعض. Similar to the issue of hypocrisy is what he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam to his companions, do not become disbelievers after me by striking each other's necks. And also the hadith, إذا التقى مسلمان بسيفيهما فالقاتل والمقتول في النار. If two Muslims meet each other and they have their weapons drawn, their swords drawn on each other, both of them are going to be in the hellfire. The one who was killed and the one who killed him. And similar to this as well is the hadith that the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, cursing a Muslim is fisq, and fighting against him is kufr. And also, in addition to those hadith that have been mentioned, whoever says to his brother, ya kafir, then that word will return back to one of them, and it will be as it was said. And also the statement, it is disbelief in Allah, the one who denies his kinship, even if it is insignificant. He went on to complete that point, and other ahadith such as these amongst those which have been authenticated and preserved. So basically, Khwani, this is an important issue. We dealt with it when we gave that class, I think 2 weeks ago or something like that, that the Khawarij and the Mu'tazila, these people went astray in that they apply kufr and nifaq to people because they did things that the religion said this is kufr and this is nifaq. And Imam Ahmed is saying, we say it's kufr and it's nifaq, but as an Imam Ahmed made a distinction, there is the big kufr and then there is the small kufr. There is the nifaq that is in the aqidah, and then there's the nifaq or the hypocrisy of actions. Just to explain that very quickly, as we mentioned before, there are a number of superlatives and characteristics that the Nabi of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. Whoever does this thing or that thing, then this is hypocrisy. Or whoever does this thing or that thing, then this is kufr. And Imam Ahmed is bringing a distinction and saying, yes, that is how it is, but there are two types of hypocrisy. One hypocrisy is the nifaq that takes you outside of al-Islam, like the munafiqun who were present during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they have a lot of characteristics. وَإِذَا لَقَوْا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ. The real munafiqeen are those people who, whenever they meet and they're with the Muslims, they say, we're with you. And whenever they meet up with the disbelievers, they say, in reality, we're with you. We were just joking when we said to them that we're with them. And as we had mentioned before, one of the characteristics of the munafiqeen is that the munafiqeen are not necessarily for kuffar. They're not necessarily for or against. Wherever they're going to get benefit, that's where they're going to go. Get benefit with the kuffar, they're over there. Get benefit with Islam and the Muslims, they're over there. So that's the nifaq that takes you outside of the religion of Islam. And they're the ones who are the worst of the creation, and as a result of that, they'll be in the lowest part of the hellfire. إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. They're in the lowest part of the hellfire. And then the second type of nifaq is the one that is an action. This is what Imam Ahmed is trying to place emphasis on. He mentioned the hadith 3 things, but another hadith 4 things. مَنْ كُنَّ فِيهِ كَانَ مُنَافِقًا خَالِصًا. 4 characteristics. If a person has these 4, he's a pure munafiq, pure. If he speaks, he lies. If he promises, he breaks his promise. If he argues, he swears and gets real crazy. And whenever you entrust him with something, he breaks his trust. Even this type of nifaq, when the hadith said he's a pure munafiq, doesn't mean he's outside of Islam. This is from the nifaq of actions. And it means that the person's nifaq is safi. I mean, he's doing those actions of the munafiqeen. So that's what it means. Doesn't mean he's a non-Muslim. Now it's important to understand that the nifaq of action, the nifaq that takes you outside of Islam, there's a lot of kalam that the scholars have concerning that. They said that the nifaq that takes you outside of Islam has 4 aqsam. 4 aqsam, divisions. 4 divisions. So there are 2 types of nifaq. Nifaq of what you believe in, al-i'tiqad, your aqidah. That nifaq has 4 divisions. The second type of nifaq is a nifaq dun nifaq. Doesn't take you outside of Islam. Those 4 divisions, he said, and they come from what the munafiqun used to do. And you're a real munafiq, kafir, outside the religion. Number 1 is that you make takdeeb of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You reject Rasulullah. You don't accept him. Those munafiqun did not accept him. So that's nifaq that is of the aqidah when you don't accept him. Number 2, from the nifaq of aqidah and i'tiqad, what you believe in, is you reject something of what he brought. You may not reject all of it, but you reject something or some of what he brought. And that's what the munafiqeen were upon. If he says something and it was to their liking, it was in their benefit, they'll take it. If he said or did something, they didn't like it, they got upset. So if he gave the spoils of war, he didn't give to them, they got upset. So from the nifaq that push outside of Islam is to hate something of what he brought. To reject him or to reject something that he brought. Number 2, from the types of nifaq, the divisions of nifaq, is that individual who he is happy when something bad happens to the Muslims or al-Islam. He gets pleasure from that. He's happy if they lose the war. He's happy if the Masjid floods. He's happy if some scholar dies. He's happy. Number 4 is that he becomes angry when there's any good that befalls the Muslims. That's how those munafiqeen, that's how they used to behave, and that's what they used to do. And 5 and 6, number 5 is that they hate the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to hate his person, or to hate anything that he brought. So all 6 of those aqsam are from the nifaq of al-i'tiqad that puts you outside of Islam. And that's the kalam of the Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. And scholars have a lot of kalam concerning al-nifaq. The companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, he said during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was Islam and there's nifaq. There was nifaq. He said back then it was nifaq, you don't know what's going on. He said right now it's nifaq in Islam. So when the Prophet died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Bakr, he raised the flag of jihad against the people apostated. Umar said to him, why are you doing that? They say la ilaha illallah. They're saying it. So we should take what they say. This is how we deal with the munafiqeen. You're not responsible for opening up their heart. So they say la ilaha illallah. Abu Bakr said, anyone who refuses to give from the zakat, even if it's a small little bit from the zakat that they used to give Rasulullah, I'm going to fight him, because that is rejecting what he's supposed to be doing. So it was an action that put them outside of that. Ridda was the ridda of nifaq. Back then, you get exposed. If you're a munafiq, Rasulullah would know who you are. But now you don't know. Still, the fact of the matter is, person could be a munafiq right now. We don't know. You have to judge people based upon what is apparent. Whether they give us Islam or whether they give us hypocrisy, whatever they give, you have to judge people based upon al-Islam. He said that nifaq is kufr. Also, like nifaq, there are 2 types of kufr. There is the kufr that is akbar, that takes you outside of the religion. And then there's a kufr dun a kufr. There's kufr that doesn't take you outside of the religion. And he gave some examples of things that have been described as hypocrisy and described as kufr, and they don't take you outside of Islam. As a matter of fact, a lot of people fall into those things. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ithnan huma bin nas wa fihima kufr. There are 2 things that the people do, and they're kufr. One of them is to talk bad about someone else's lineage, to be a racist and talk bad about someone else's lineage. A lot of people fall into that. But you don't go outside of al-Islam, although it is a type of kufr. He said the second thing is an-niyaha. When someone dies, to scream into well over the dead person. That's an action of nifaq. He told his companions, as Imam Ahmed brought the hadith, do not become kuffar after me. How? By striking each other's necks. So when you fight a Muslim, when you fight another Muslim, that's an action of kufr. Muslims fight each other all the time. So to fight a Muslim is kufrun, but it's the kufr that doesn't take the person outside of al-Islam. And there are a lot of things that have been described. He said about the Ansar, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, loving the Ansar is iman, and hating the Ansar is nifaq. It's iman to love them, to hate them is hypocrisy. So the point here is not a complicated issue. The Muslim of the Sunnah is the one who doesn't go overboard in attributing these superlatives to people and putting people outside of the religion. By saying the person is a real munafiq, even if he falls into those things and he does them all the time, it's what he's known for. He doesn't go outside of the fold of al-Islam, just like that. He's doing an action of hypocrisy and also the action of kufr as well. And again, this is in refutation against the Khawarij, who made takfir of people. If anyone says about his father, for an example, that's not my father, or that's not my tribe, that's not my family. He said that is a form of kufr billah. That's a form of kufr, disbelief. If someone says to his brother, ya kafir, hey you Jew, something like that. Hey you Sikh, you Hindu, any of those things. Hey you mulhid, any of those things. You say that to another Muslim, that word comes back to one, either it's going to be true, what he did, or it falls on you. And the scholars gave different explanations. What kind of kufr is it? They said it's kufr of the ni'mah, the kufr of the ni'mah, where a person rejects the ni'mah. So to fall into that is not taking you outside of the fold of al-Islam. And Imam Ahmed, he said, we submit to all of these issues because the hadith, they are what has been mentioned. Even if we don't know the explanation, we don't talk about it. We do not argue about it. And we do not explain these hadith except with the like of what those hadith have come with. We do not reject them except with the best amongst them. Meaning, Quran explains the Quran. The Quran is explained by the Sunnah. So we have to take these hadith and understand them in the light of the Quran and in the light of the Sunnah. And that's the explanation. Any explanation other than that, you got to be quiet and not argue and go back and forth with these issues. You just have to be quiet. Those ayahs, they say whoever doesn't judge by what Allah has revealed, then those people are the kafirun. Those people are the zalimun. Those people are the fasiqun. There's kufr, and then there's kufr lower than kufr. There's fisq that takes you outside of al-Islam, and then there's a fisq that doesn't take you outside of al-Islam. There's a zulm that takes you outside of Islam. Shirkun billah takes you outside of Islam. And then there's zulm that people do, but you're still inside of the fold of al-Islam. We only explain what the ayat or what the hadith is saying when he used those words kufr and nifaq and what the Quran and the Sunnah has mentioned. That's what he said, rahimahullah ta'ala. Number 72, Ikhwani, he mentioned, from what we believe is that the paradise and the hellfire are two created things. The paradise is makhluqa. And the nar of Jahannam, may Allah save us from his punishment, is also created. And this is what has come from the authentic sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. Like the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioning, he saw the hellfire. And in the hellfire, the majority of the people of the hellfire were women. He said, or they said, why? The majority of the people of the hellfire, the women. He said, because they make the kufr of the ni'mah, the kufr of the good that their husbands do for them. So he saw that. And there are a lot of ahadith where he said that he saw the Jannah. He said to Umar, "Oh Umar, I saw last night in a dream that there was a castle in the Jannah, and there were some women making wudu outside on the side of the castle." I said, whose castle is this? They said, this is the castle of Umar ibn al-Khattab. So he saw the hellfire. He saw the Jannah. So the people of the Sunnah, the people of al-Islam, we have the opinion that the hellfire exists and the Jannah exists. That one has its people, and that one has his people. Whoever enters into the Jannah will remain in the Jannah forever, and those who enter into the hellfire, some people will remain in the hellfire forever to be punished forever, and some people will be taken out of the hellfire, and they are those people who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's point number 72. Again, a refutation against the people of innovation who have the opinion that the Jannah and the Nar have not been created yet. And you will find some of the ulama of the Sunnah here and there, some of them said they're not created, but we're referring to what Imam Ahmed is talking to about the vast majority of the ulama of al-Islam. And all of these things almost you can find some bona fide qualified scholar who says something different. We don't look at that. We don't look at those statements that are, nadira, here or there or here or there. We look at what the majority of them are saying, which goes to show the importance of learning the etiquette of an ikhtilaf. Because when we're rough and tough and we pass rulings off against people, then you have to be consistent. You have to pass that same ruling against those scholars who have possibly taken that position as well. So that's number 68, 69, 70, and 71. 72, last one, the paradise and the hellfire are two created things, and that they have already been created as has come from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. So we only have two more, inshallah. We'll do those two Tuesday. If you brothers have any questions concerning these issues, because we already did the thing about nifaq, when that brother had the issue, he was passing, saying people from his family were munafiqun. We dealt with that, so we don't have to go and repeat the will again. Nifaq, al-iman, and kufr. All of those are technical terms that the Muslim has to have some understanding about what's being referred to when they're being talked about. So today, nifaq is nifaq that takes you outside of Islam, and then the nifaq that is of the actions that people fall into. Okay, my brothers, if you guys have any questions, you can put your question forward, inshallah.